Hi, I'm Brandon Baker, competitor of 2014 Big Fan Racing Competition. Let's go racing.
Hey, Josh. Hey, man, wait a minute. Doggone it. These low-riding cars.
What are you doing?
I'm practicing.
Supper's ready.
Give me 2 more laps.
I'm gonna give you 2 more laps.
How I found out a bit about Big Fan Racing is my stepdad called me, said that he had run across it on the internet. So I went and checked it out, emailed Mark with Big Fan Racing, ended up not checking my email for about a month, and the next day, after I had emailed him and tried to get in with Big Fan Racing, he had actually sent me an email. Right. So a month later, I ended up checking it. Come to find out, it was on a Friday night, about 10:30, 11 o'clock, and not knowing that that Saturday at 7 o'clock was a deadline. So I sent an email to Mark saying, look, if I'd like to become a Big Fan member, as far as being in the driver development program, and not knowing really a whole lot about it. So I ended up sending my telephone number. Well, at 1 o'clock in the morning, Mark calls me, and I see it on my cell phone, and I'm like, who in the world is this? So I didn't answer it the first time. Well, he called right back. Well, I answered, and I'm like, hello, and he said, I'm Mark with Big Fan Racing. Would like to know if you're still interested in competing in the Big Fan Racing deal. So I said, yeah, absolutely. So yeah. I'm walking outside, and I'm all prancing around, all excited, and that's kind of how it all went down. Next thing you know, we started emailing back and forth each other, telephone calls, and here we are today.
What would it mean to you to drive in the Truck Series, Camp World Truck Series?
A dream come true, something that I've worked all my life, day in, day out, all the long hours from when I first started racing from motorcycles. I moved up from motorcycles to ATVs, went from ATVs just because of seeing a lot of guys get hurt, break legs. I focused more on football and baseball, and I got burnt out, and that was in high school. And when I got burnt out of that, I wanted to get back into racing by the time I graduated back in 2003. And ever since then, I've always had a passion for racing, but ever since then, I started out in the pure stocks, and from that day until now, which has been 12 years ago, I've put everything that I've got, everything financially, in racing, and here we are today, and I've got the opportunity to drive a truck. It's a dream come true. It's hard to explain.
If all the cars were exactly the same, what would separate you from all the other drivers?
Well, just knowing how the car works. I bought this car about 2 years ago, and it was actually 8 days before race season started. And I brought it back to the shop, pulled it in here, and I was bound and determined that I was going to make it for the first race.
Right.
And I got it in here, started working on it, pulled it in the paint room, got it painted, got it out of the paint room, brought it in here, started putting things together, getting everything prepared.
And you did that all yourself?
Every bit of it. 7 days later, I had a complete rolling car ready to go to the racetrack.
All yourself?
And every bit of it. And from building motors, I've been building motors since I was 9 years old. I started out on motorcycles, motors, and kind of went from there. My dad, he helped me with it, and I learned a lot on my own. My granddaddy was one of the biggest inspirations in my life, as far as mechanically and hands-on, which I learned from my granddaddy and my dad, because both of them, you know, there's nothing that they can't do. But they've been a blessing to me for showing me, you know, the ins and outs of engines and, you know, just different things mechanically wise. But what separates me the most, I think, is because I can do anything to the car as far as building it, setting it up, knowing what this feeling is when I go off in this corner. If it's not rotating in the center like it needs to be, what do I need to do to make that adjustment? You know, if the car's tight center off, I know what the feel is. I know what to make. You know, I know what to do to the car.
Your number one goal is winning that race, and the heart and the desire you have reminds me a lot of Kyle Busch, because it's just the desire and the desire and the heart to win the race.
Well, at this level, late model stock cars, you're not there for the money.
Right.
You're there for the trophy.
Right.
And that's all that matters. And you know, you go out there and every lap that I'm sitting there, you know, driving that car, and I'm sitting there and I'm counting the laps down. You know, my spotter tells me, you know, 10 to go, and I'm sitting there counting them laps down, and maybe I'm running second or maybe third. And each lap, I'm sitting here trying to push myself physically, mentally, and also push the car to make it, you
just
know,
a little bit more.
Just a little bit more. I just need a little bit more, or try to push it a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, 110%. I give that every time I get on a racetrack, and that's.
And that's what I've seen with working with
Yeah.
you. It's just your heart and your desire. You know, you got a few laps to go,
Yeah.
and I can just watch you just close the gap on the guy in front of you, because your desire and your will to win.
I try to conserve at different points of the race, but yeah, when it comes crunch time,
Right.
toward the end, I want that trophy. I want to be able to make that podium finish and have my sponsors that work, you know, just as hard as I do.
Yeah.
To, you know, to get them that advertisement, because that's what we're here for. But
And you love to give back to your team, as I've seen.
yeah. I mean, you know, we all work so hard. I know that every one of us want to be able to, you know, win every race, and I know we can't do that.
Right.
But if we can at least make a top 3 appearance and
Right.
get that podium, it's a bigger relief to me, because I know how hard the guys work in the shop, and especially out on the racetrack. On your steering arms, you can actually move where it bolts up to the spindle, and move it forward, move it back. Well, that determines on how fast, you know, the closer it is to the pivot point, the quicker the spindles will turn. So you want your left front to turn a little bit faster than your right front. So it's and that's accurate. I mean, yeah, hopefully. So you split the difference. Harold did fill it up with fuel, right? The same level with the other one. It's more angle.
What's changed from before?
The only thing that's changed is the tire sizes. straight the tire is now?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, helps, man.
Well, I mean, you know, there's 1,000 different ways you can set a race car up,
Yeah.
but there's only a few ways that you can set one up that keeps the car consistent and keeps it fast. I mean, you can get a car that runs really fast for qualifying, but might not run 30 laps. You know, it just falls off a lot.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we've been. We hadn't been really fast in the past, but we've been very consistent. And toward the end of the race, we got a long green flag run, and usually we're up front. My heart and love for racing has been there ever since I could get on a four-wheeler or a motorcycle. I've always wanted to be competitive. If it's in the backyard racing, you know, my next door neighbor on the motorcycle, or if it was a bicycle race. I mean, I've always been competitive. I always want to be in front. But just being out on the racetrack and being able to run side by side, door to door with someone else and having that adrenaline rush is it's been one of the biggest things in my life, being an adrenaline junkie, I think.
Right.
But like, for instance, several weeks ago, I had a race that we didn't qualify good. We was back in the field, I think 8th or 9th.
Yeah.
And it ended up, we had a bad tire. So they give us another tire, and it ended up not even staggering out right. So I just didn't know what to do. So I ended up putting it on the left side of the car. Went out, qualifying, car was just tight, would not turn. Come in, after qualifying, made a few adjustments, and I think we ended up starting 8th, 9th maybe. Well, we started running, and next thing you know, we're falling off. I mean, we're back in 11th, 12th. So I'm sitting there riding, just trying to fill the car out, trying to make a decision on the next caution. Well, end up, my dad come over the radio and said, I think we need to change that tire that we ended up putting on there. So we ended up swapping that tire. We come in, made a pit stop. Well, went back out, and I think we was 12th or 13th, and it was like 8 laps to go. And 2 laps to go, we're passing guys inside, outside, coming to the white, take the lead, and it was just one of them deals, one of them races. That's all we needed. But what I was proud about is not giving up.
This Big Fan Racing deal has actually given us opportunities to go to that school. Remember the school we went to just the other day? That was a whole lot of fun. And
yeah, and I had over 100 kids climb in the car, sit down in the seat, and you put a headset on them. You talk to them over the radio, and there was one kid, and he got in the car, and not knowing his condition, the teacher later on told me, but he climbed in that car without a smile on his face, and as soon as you started talking to him on that radio, he lit up like a Christmas tree, and the teacher actually turned around and started crying and said that's the first time I've ever seen that boy, smile.
Yeah.
And little things like that. I mean,
that's what we're here for.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what we're here for, and it's not all about me. I mean, all I want to do is drive the car, make it go around, and make it hopefully, being first. But I'm not here just for me. I'm here for the kids. I'm here for everyone else that puts in the hard effort, the long nights, long hours. Also, the opportunities that Big Fan Racing has given me, besides going to that school. G105 contacted me and wanted us to come on there and talk to them, and we had a blast.
We did have some fun that day.
We did. When we got out of there, and we was only in there for an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Hour and a half, 2 hours, yeah.
I had 27 friend requests, and I don't know how many messages.
But by the time we got home, it was like 47. It was just growing.
I mean, it grew. It doubled it.
Right.
Within an hour. But and still, each morning I wake up, I've got people, just out of the woodwork, wanting to help.
Right.
They see my story on the Big Fan Racing, also on my Facebook page. My sister is needing a kidney, and what I did to kind of draw more, people, not just people that like racing, but would like to help people with, these diseases and bad medical issues, is what I'm gonna do is take a portion of money that comes in that's gonna help me win this, reality show. What I'm gonna do is take a portion of that money and I'm gonna put her ad on, or her logo on the side or on the hood or somewhere on the truck for the world to see.
Yeah.
And hopefully I can get her a kidney. Yeah. I feel like Mark's given me the opportunity to kind of kill two birds with one stone. Yeah, I'm gonna be able to get to do hopefully a dream that I've been wanting to do for a long time, plus help somebody that's in need. Life to me is being happy, having your family, and just living every day.
It's real cool. When I look at our team, there's so many sets of father and son.
That's one of the biggest things or biggest thrill that I get out of racing, is to be able to share it with, not only my family but my friends, the ones that want to be there and help. And I've actually met a lot of good people at the racetrack.
With Big Fan Racing, Big Fan Racing is all supported by the fans. It gives the fans a chance to be a part of NASCAR, and that's such a cool thing. But if those stands were empty, there would be no race at all.
No point
there'd be no point in being out there. So the fans are what feeds the sport.
Every bit of it. My take on it is, if it weren't for the fans, we wouldn't be here. And you can't forget where you come from to start with. Once you forget where you come from, it's all downhill after that. My take on little kids coming up. The little kids is one of the biggest reasons I do this. To see the smile on their face when I'm sitting in that car going around that track on a pace lap, and them little kids come up to the fence and they're shaking the fence and they're waving the little flags. I mean, it just, for them to sit there and watch me and have the smile on their face, it actually gives me goosebumps thinking about it, right, just because of the thrill, and I know what it feels like to have that experience. I've actually experienced a few times at our local tracks where they'll let a little ride along, and the kid will throw blankets on the right side of the car, and the kids will hop in, and we'll do like a parade lap, and them kids, I mean, they just sit there and grin, and I actually had that school that we went to, I actually had a kid somehow, which these kids nowadays are smart, third grader ended up calling me, and I must have missed a call. Well, ended up leaving a voicemail, and he wanted to call to make sure that I was doing okay, and to check on me, and that he had a really good time when we brought the car out, and let them get in the car and sign autographs, and they got a picture to take home, and T-shirts and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah, that was cool. I mean,
that's what it's still about,
Yeah, that's what it's about.
And we just can't forget that going forward.
You can't. And I know that I'm not there yet, but as we sit here and talk about it, you can't let that slip away. You got to keep that with you to the end. All the way. Hopefully, one day we make it all the way to the Cup Series, and we can sit back and look at this and say, you know, we was right when we was telling everybody.
We kept our word.
We kept our word.
We kept our word.
And that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Like I say, me and her have been together for about 9 years, and she's been my sidekick. She's been with me through this the entire time, and she hadn't left my side. There's been some times where we've argued a little bit and got a little frustrated with each other just because of how stressful it is, and she does the majority of all of it. My mom, I'd say the past 2 or 3 years, she's really stepped up and actually been able to help me and help Crystal with some of the PR stuff, trying to get the Facebook pages updated every other day, and keep up with all the messages that all the fans send in, and try to get the response back to them, to let them know how things are going in the shop. Are we going to make it to the next race, and things like that. So them two have really been an inspiration throughout this whole thing, and they've been one of the biggest supporters that I've had as far as the PR side of it.
Let's just say a quick prayer before we get started. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for letting us be at the track today. I just thank you for everything that has came through and all this team's hard work.
Make sure we have left side tires aired up, ready to go. Right side tires aired up, ready to go. Just in case, we got to do like we did last week. So.
And do your radio checks.
Yeah, make sure you got the radios working good. I'd like to give a special thanks to the Big Fan Racing guys, Mark and Josh, for coming out here, film crew, giving us this opportunity to shine. That's what we're here for. And just like to thank you.